I'm sorry that I'm so fidgety and kind of nervous, just a little bit nervous, but I am new to YouTube and I have like 5 followers. Hi, Mom. So I should probably start by introducing myself. So, hi. My name is impossible to pronounce in English. It's impossible to pronounce it. I've tried, you guys, I've tried so many times to teach people how to say my name and it's impossible. So I have decided that I am going to use a nickname instead. And I chose Elle. 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 E-L-L-E. You know, it's already part of my name. It's peppy, it's short, it's pretty, it's perfect. So from now on, you guys can call me Elle. I will refer to myself as Elle, even though it's probably awkward as hell. But I will. All for you. All for YouTube views. So subscribe if you want to keep me company and you want to, you know, make me feel less shy and conscious. That's my dog, Nana. She is kind of fidgety too, because she's an empath. So anyway, the story that I wanted to talk to you guys about today is a crazy thing that happened to me. I was living, like a couple of years ago, I was living in Vancouver in Canada, and I found out the house I was living in was owned by a dude who stole $55 million from some poor Mexican miners. It was crazy. It was insane. I'm still, you know, touched. Like, my life is never the same, and now I want to share that with you. And don't think that just because the story is about the $55 million some miners in Mexico got, you know, robbed of, don't think that this story does not apply to you, because this story is universal, my friend. This is a classic. This is like Heart of Darkness. This is like War and Peace. This is an art piece, my friends. My life sometimes resembles art, okay? I don't know who wrote this. I don't know if this is comedy or tragedy, but it's sure as hell entertaining. So anyway, now you might be wondering, but Elle, if this happened a few years ago, why are you telling us now? Well, smarty pants, I'm telling you now because I just created my YouTube channel and I have many stories to tell, and some of them are quite old. And also because yesterday I was walking around with my friend, and we were walking, you know, around downtown, and we were gonna catch up because I hadn't seen her in a long time, and we were looking for like a coffee shop or something, like a Starbucks or maybe a restaurant we could sit down and just like talk. And this like really busy street. There's like cars and people and just like really, you know, crowded. And so we walk past this storefront and the sign says serial killers. Serial killers, like, oh, you know, play on words with the word serial killer and actual cereal, like a box of cereal, like cereal with a C, like Cocoa Puffs. And so I'm looking at this thing and I asked my friend, I'm like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Is this a restaurant that sells cereal? And so we both, you know, go inside because we love new things. And so let's give this thing a try. And we go up to the counter and we start, you know, looking at the menu and all the options and stuff. And it was like really cute and interesting. They had like all kinds of, you know, popular cereal brands. They had, you know, the usual suspect like Captain Crunch and, you know, Cocoa Puffs and Cocoa Pebbles, which I love, and, you know, Apple Jacks and all these things. And also like brands from all over the world, like things you have never tried and you don't even know how to pronounce because the letters are like squiggles or like tiny boxes and asterisks and you have no clue what it says. Yeah. And they even have this like tiny little column with like cereal cocktails, I think they named it, which is like they pick, like they have like cereal connoisseurs and cereal experts that blending the right amount of each cereal like in a lab and then adding some crazy ass milk that they make with like flavors, infused with flavors, and it's just crazy. So my friend got like just a traditional regular bowl of cereal, and I got one of the cereal cocktails, apple cinnamon, if you're wondering. And so we sit down to, to catch up and, talk, and it's, cereal. It's just cereal. Don't get excited. Don't get too excited. It's just cereal. It's not going to blow your mind away. It's just cereal. But we're there, and it's been like a couple of hours, and, I suddenly, I start feeling kind of weird, and I tell my friend, like, maybe we should go get something else, because it's been a while, and, each bowl of cereal was like, I don't know, 4 pounds, 3 pounds, maybe. I think among the two of us, I think we paid like 7 pounds or 7.5 pounds, and it was just so cheap. But here's the thing, this is not Starbucks. We weren't having like a refreshment. This is not a cup of coffee. You cannot go up and get another cup of coffee because you're full, because you just had a bowl of cereal. So there's no seconds here in Cereal Hunters. And so I tell my friend, and we're discussing this thing, and my friend kind of starts wondering, and she's like, Elle, how are they paying for this whole thing? Like, each one of these bowls is like 3 pounds, and there's like 5 people in the restaurant total. And this place is like a very crowded, busy street, like rent, and this place probably insane. And they have 2 employees. Like, how are they even paying for this whole thing? And I had like this little voice on the back of your head that's always like screaming common sense stuff to you. And this voice in my head was like, it's impossible! A cereal restaurant is the worst idea. It could never work. These people are gonna bankrupt any minute now. This place is gonna close down any minute. It's gonna be in red numbers. This thing is gonna suck. But, I keep my cool because, that voice is, drama queen, and I'm like a very calm, collected person. I don't know if you can tell. But I was like with my friend, and I'm like, yeah, I see what you mean. I totally see your point. This surely is strange. But here's the thing, though. You start thinking about these things, but at the same time, like, you are sitting down in the restaurant. The restaurant is a practical reality that exists. Like, it is somehow, paying for the whole show, and you're sitting there. And so you're forced to come to the conclusion that perhaps the problem is you. Perhaps you do not have, the business savvy gene in you. Perhaps you just don't know how to risk things for the right idea. Perhaps you have no sense of smell for $1 million idea, like these serial hunter, serial killer guys have. And so you're forced to just accept the reality. Like, there is a cereal restaurant. You do not own the cereal restaurant, so probably the problem is you, right? Wrong. You are not the problem, my friend. The problem is you don't have all the information at hand. But luckily for you, I am here to explain why this does not add up, and it is not you. The problem is not with the voice in the back of your head. The problem is there's things in this world called condom heads. You may be wondering, what is a condom head? What force are these condom heads in command of that they can just have restaurants, cereal restaurants in the middle of a, smack dab in the middle of a capital in Europe and make it work selling 3-pound cereal bowls? Well, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about what it is that these condom heads have. And I want to say before we continue that every single person in this life knows at least one condom head. So anybody watching this will know at least one condom head. It can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be a long lost acquaintance, it can be a teacher from school that you have not seen in 10 years, but I assure you, my friend, I assure you, there is at least one condom head in your social circle. And after this video, I am hoping that you will be able to identify and put slap a label on your condom head friends and make sense of the weird stuff that doesn't add up that is going on all around you. So here's the deal. A few years ago, I was living in Florida, and I had to fix some paperwork or something in Canada, and I had to go to Vancouver for that, and it was bureaucracy, so it was gonna take, I knew it was gonna take like a month at least for it to be fixed. So instead of, you know, booking a hotel, which was gonna be like my whole life savings if I was gonna stay for 1 month in an hotel, I decided to book a place through Airbnb. Now, Airbnb is a website where people like you or me, whatever, you have a house, you want to rent it, so you list your home there, and then people who travel can find it, and then they pay you to stay in your home, okay? So I found through Airbnb a bunch of places, like really cool places in Vancouver, and I realized through watching these places that Vancouver is like a really cool city. Like they were like beautiful, you know, cool, modern looking lofts, and the description were like, this, you know, this loft is in the, you know, coolest, hippest area of Vancouver. There's restaurants, there's bars, there's yada yada yada, and I found one that I really liked, and you know, and I decided to book it. And from the pictures, the place was amazing. Like, it looked incredible. But when I got there, you guys, the place, the loft was amazing. It was beautiful. It was everything I ever wished for. It was like, it was built, it was the penthouse in an industrial building. Like, it used to be some sort of warehouse or storage facility for, you know, for some sort of company back in the 1800s, and they kind of renovated the whole like inside of the building, but keeping like respecting the original spaces and materials. So it was all very, you know, industrial and open spaces, and the loft that I got had like 6-meter tall ceilings. It was insane, and window panes, like floor to ceiling window panes, concrete floors, and it overlooked the city, and it overlooked Whistler, which is the mountain, and it was just so beautiful. And the best part of it all was the kitchen. It was the state-of-the-art, like, cooking show type of, you know, stainless steel polished situation he had going on in the kitchen. It's just beautiful, and I was so delighted. The guy was not there to give me the keys. He left me like the information and like a bunch of stuff with a friend. So she came, like a friend came to give me the keys and show me around and give me the password for the Wi-Fi and show me like the trash room and all these stuff, and that was it. Like, I'm gonna show you so this is a picture, hold on. So this is a picture of me at the loft. I don't know if you guys can see clearly. Oh, so much flare. Well, anyway, you can see the concrete floors and like a huge fireplace and stuff. And anyway, I had like a really good time. So I stayed for a month. I did all my paperwork, and the guy, like, as the days went by, I realized that the owner of the place was really sloppy. Like, he left like a bunch of stuff of his in the apartment, like personal stuff, like documents, and I even found his passport in one of the drawers. I found a passport of his, and it was like really careless. And one of the craziest things though is he had like these coffee table books, but they were insane. It was like politics for kids. It was some sort of brainwashing nonsense. Like, one of them had Karl Marx's biography for children, and it had like it was like a cartoon, you guys. It was like a comic strip. Like, you would look into it, and it was like a comic strip, and it was like made for kids. It's just really crazy stuff. And so anyway, so time went by, and I'm like completely in love with Vancouver. Like, they had the most amazing, delicious Asian food, because they have a really big Asian community, and so they have ramen shops and sushi places and the marketplace. You guys, the marketplace, they had like such good fish and meat and veggies and everything. It was just gorgeous. And so I decided, like, what the hell? I'm a nomad, you know? I'm a wandering Jew. Why don't I just stay here for a year? You know, I like it. Why should I go back to Florida? I can stay here. So I call the guy and I'm like, yo, remember me? I'm the girl you rented your place through Airbnb. And I was wondering, would you mind renting this place to me for a year, like a formal lease? And so the guy said he would come and you know, discuss it with me in person. So after, you know, living in his place for like a month and having his passport, I was finally going to meet the owner of the passport and the loft that I loved. And so 9 o'clock came by and someone knocks on the door and I'm like, you know, pretty and all. And I open up the door and here's this guy, like this, like a bottle of wine. And he comes inside and he's wearing, it's kind of cold outside, so he's wearing like a velvet jacket and some sort of, you know, artsy kind of t-shirt underneath, and he has like a scarf, and then he has like a wool beanie, like one of those, like, I guess it's like a hip hop beanie, you know, those who have like an X's like on the top. And he has like the wine bottle, and you know, he comes in and he brought like a lease so that we could sign for a year, and he gave me the bottle of wine as a gift, which was a nice gesture. And I was surprised, you know, it was a really good impression, first impression, and he would then be a total asshole towards me, but his first impression was solid. So anyway, he tells me that, yeah, I can rent you the place, but I travel all the time. And it's true, like, like, every time I would contact him, he was like, no, I am kayaking through the rapids. No, I am in a cabin in Lake Tahoe. No, I am uncommunicated from the world because I am at the ISS space station and International Space Station. And so he gave me the number and contact information of his ex-wife. Now, before I go on with the story, I'm going to name them. I'm going to give them fake names because, one, I am a total pro. I'm a YouTube professional, I mean, and I'm not going to give you guys the real names of the people involved. And second, because I don't want to get into legal trouble and I don't really know if they can like sue me. So let's just say this guy name is Bob, and Bob gives me the phone number, the contact information of his ex-wife, Susan. And then he, you know, we signed the lease and he leaves and all is dandy. And so after a while, oh, wait. So when he came to sign the lease, we were talking and it was all very amicable, and he starts telling me the story of his life. And among the things that he tells me, he says that he studied high cuisine. So he's like a chef, apparently, which explained the bomb kitchen in the apartment. And then he said that his job, and listen to this, because you're not going to believe this, his job is a menu designer. This guy designs menus for a living. Like, what is this job? Like, what does it consist of? Like, do restaurants call you and then you're like, well, tell me, what do you know how to cook? Let me see what I can do with this. And then gives you like a menu that he designed for you. Like, how many restaurants are there even that you can you keep like a steady income with a, you know, menu designer job? And if my friend, the one I was having a bowl of cereal with, was there with me, she would definitely have questions to ask this guy. She would be like, how can you buy a $1 million loft smack dab in the center of Vancouver working designing menus? But never mind. So keep that in mind, okay? So then months later, I'm living my life, you know, in this loft, and I'm going through one of the drawers. I'm looking for something. I think it was my keys. I'm looking for them, and I find this document. Like I said, the guy was really careless. I found his passport, and I also found it was kind of like when you buy a house, like when you sign like the property ownership, I guess. I don't know. The fact is, it had like a bunch of pictures of the loft, and it had the asking price, the owner, had asked for, and it was over $1 million. And granted, it was Canadian money, but still, it is a lot of money. So then months later, his wife, Susan, calls me and she says she left a few things in the loft and she has to come by to pick them up. And she came by and she was this like cute girl with a super thick Mexican accent and slang. And she starts like, she would talk like hours, like she wouldn't shut up. And I was very entertained because she had a lot of stories to tell. And she would just talk nonstop. And so some of the things that she told me were, first of all, she had studied art, but she worked as a local rock band manager. And I asked her which band she was managing, and none of them had more than 10,000 followers on Twitter. So she was a manager for local rock bands. And she was married to a dude who designed menus. And together they had bought a $1 million loft smack dab in the center of Vancouver. And she also told me that before, when she was married to this guy, for a while they were renting this broke hotel so they could throw cultural parties on the basement of the hotel, but it didn't really work out because the guy was also a DJ of tropical music. They were very artsy, that's for sure. So anyway, so I'm here and I'm thinking like, how are these guys like buying all this stuff with these jobs that make no sense? It's just like something does not add up, And then something really nasty happened and they were really mean to me. And so that just spiked my curiosity even more. So I started Googling them. And what I found, you guys, chills, okay? Chills down my spine. Like I have like goosebumps just remembering, just remembering what happened. Like what I found, it just gives me the creeps, you guys. It was so creepy. So I put the name of the guy, like Bob Smith. Remember, I had the guy's passport. I had his full name. So I'm looking up like Bob Smith Jones on Google. And dude, he was the son of a man who was being, he was like wanted. I'm not even kidding. The guy was wanted. Like, those like posters of like dead or alive? If this was the Wild Wild West, it would be his dad on the poster, okay? He had Interpol, like the British CIA, the Interpol had issued a red alert, red card, red something on his father's name for people to report anything they knew about this guy, because they were looking for him, because this guy's dad was a fugitive of Mexican justice. He was a syndicate leader for miners in Mexico. He was like the highest ranking person of the entire mining industry, representing the miner workers in Mexico. And hear this out. This dude convinced all the miners in Mexico to constitute a company and get, a bank account. And through this company, they would put in there, it was like a trust fund that they got. And they would put in all the dividends of the mining industry, like everything that the government would pay them for, like, how do you say this when there's an accident and the government like pays them reparations, whatever. So they would put all of this inside the trust fund, and at the end of the year they would split all the money inside the trust fund among the hundreds and hundreds of miners in equal parts, so everybody gets like an equal portion. It was like a beautiful socialist idea. And this guy, the only thing is this guy convinced them of doing this, and he said, But don't worry, give me the keys. I will keep them safe here in my pocket. And apparently overnight, the money in the bank account vanished. Poofed. It was completely gone. And so here's where the story gets complicated. So the miners basically sued both the bank and Bob's father for the $55 million that were missing. On the other hand, this dude then runs away to Vancouver, stating that it was all a lie and it was all made up and he had no money. And this was all a political move. Like, he was the political enemy of Vicente Fox, which was the president of Mexico back then. And he was it was a political prosecution, is what he called it. And he asked for asylum, for political asylum in Canada. Bonkers, okay? So his face and this story was all over the internet. And I'm not talking about like shady small sites. No, I'm talking about like big newspapers, like the New York Times, but I guess the Mexico Times. I'm talking about like a major news story. The guy had written a book and everything, like telling his truth, like, I did not steal this money. But on the other hand, here I was in Vancouver and the dude had a son who was a menu designer and who married a local band manager, and they managed to have a $1 million loft, and since they got divorced, his ex-wife got a settlement, and with the settlement she bought another loft nearby, and he was living in a huge ass house in Kitsilano Beach, and his dad had like a huge apartment on a high rise in Yaletown, and they also had like a chain of Lebanese restaurants that they had bought, and all of this I learned from Susan. All of this was bought with the salary of a minor syndicate leader? Something doesn't add up, wouldn't you say? I don't know. I mean, don't quote me. I'm not saying he stole the money. I don't know. Like, I think they declared him innocent like years after in Mexico. I don't even know. But it surely didn't seem kosher to me. Now, here's the thing. While I was doing all this research, the Mexicans obviously were really pissed, like next level pissed. I would be pissed too. I mean, imagine that you're one of these miners and you've spent your whole life like, you know, smelling, you know, toxic fumes, like 15 meters below the ground in a fucking mine, risking your life for your children's future, and along comes this guy, like this cushy guy with a cushy job, and steals the money that you were gonna feed your children with. Like, I would be pissed too. Like, I'm not blaming the Mexicans for being pissed at this guy, but one Mexican in particular, he was really pissed. He had created a Twitter account, and this was back then when Twitter wasn't really doing anything about bullies. This guy created a Twitter account just to insult and troll the fuck out of Bob and his father. Like, it was a Twitter account devoted to insulting and like demeaning them and like talking trash about them. And this was what was like, it got to the point where Bob had to close like all of his social media and like get new accounts with fake names because they wouldn't leave him alone. But the funny thing is, one of the tweets that I found from this guy who hated him, he had uploaded a photo of Bob with the wool beanie, like the one I told you about that he was wearing. He used to wear them a lot, like it was all over his Facebook. And these beanies were really popular in Vancouver and in Japan also for some reason. Like, what are you guys thinking about? It's like a beanie, but it's not like smooth. It has like a bulgy part on top. Like, I got a picture and everything to show you because I wanted you guys to know exactly what I'm talking about. Hold on. So here's the picture. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see it. What? Come on. Focus. Something like that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Yes. So the tweet had Bob's face wearing a beanie like this, and it said in capital letters underneath the photo, Bob the condom head. The condom head, because it's like and I was just laughing so hard at this. I was like, I like showered someone with like my beverage, whatever it was I was drinking when I saw that. Oh my God, tears of laughter like down my face, rolling down my face. I couldn't call him anything other than condom head from that point on. He was like condom head. And obviously when I told this story to anyone, I would just say like, the condom head said this, the condom head said that. And here's the thing though. The reason he was able to like buy this loft, $1 million loft, was not because the industry of menu designers is thriving. No, it was because his dad stole $55 million from some poor Mexican miners, okay? And here's the thing, if you didn't know this part of the story, if you only knew what you saw like straight up, you would think that designing menus is just such a good, brilliant career move, you know? Like you would be tempted to become a menu designer so you could live in a $1 million loft smack dab in the center of Vancouver. Same thing with his ex-wife, like Susan. She was a rock band manager. You would be tempted to become a local rock band manager to buy, you know, a loft like hers. But no, it's a fantasy. You could never in a million years buy a $1 million loft. Designing menus, it's a horrible idea. It's never gonna work, you know? It's the voice in the back of your head, you know, alerting you that there's something fishy going on. And yeah, it was sketch. It was absolutely fucking sketch. And here's the thing. This same situation with the condom head is happening all around you. There's so many condom heads all around us. Like it was like somebody had given me this new glasses and I could somehow like see things in a new light, because after that I would walk down through Gastown, which was the area this loft was in, and I would finally understand everything. Like there was a factory, a bread factory, who only made one kind of bread, and it was sourdough. And they would sell this bread just in one way, which was smeared with avocado. That was the whole menu. And I would go by that, you know, bread factory every morning, and I would think like, how are they still working? Like they sell one kind of bread. Like who are they selling this bread to? Are there so many sourdough lovers all around town who just buy from them? I don't get it, but now I do. They're condom heads. Who knows what's behind it? Who the fuck knows what's behind it? Maybe they're like heirs to a royal family and they're bankrolling, you know, their child's strange proclivities. Maybe, just maybe, they won the lottery. They won the lottery. They think this is a brilliant idea. They're just putting all their money into a money sink that's never gonna work out, but they're still bankrolling it because they refuse to accept their defeat. You don't know. Now, Vancouver was full of condom heads. Like I said, they were all around you. And I'm pretty sure there's more than one that you've met in your life. So now that I have told you this, you can identify it. Nobody knows why serial killers is still working. It's been years. They should have shut down, but they're still working. But you don't know why. Maybe it is a front for laundering money. Maybe, just maybe, someone is using this to get a residence, because usually countries offer residencies to people who make, you know, who are employing other people. So maybe the two employees in serial killer are just paying for this guy's British citizenship. You don't know this. That's exactly how Bob's dad became a restaurateur with his chain of Lebanese restaurants. You don't know this. You don't know why it's still, working. All we know is that it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. There's probably a condom head type story behind it. So now that you know this, I have given you these glasses to look at the world in a new way, and now you can begin to identify the condom heads all around you. You're welcome. and subscribe. If you too have a condom head story that you want to tell me about, write it down in the comments and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching.